Alright, it is a Wednesday, August the 11th, and this is the watch list. Nothing has really changed that much, but BZWR is a new one for a potential morning panic bounce play, but the volume is not really that nice, so I'm going to have to keep that in mind. If it decides to do it today, it could have one, although, you know, this might look ugly. It does show that it could try to move back and forth and make potential morning panic bounce plays, you know, very frequently, or maybe it's just, I don't know, it might just be bad price action and low liquidity. I have no idea. I just added it. It's just going to be a watch to see how it does. NSAV could be a morning panic bounce play. I would rather it not. It's not very clean at making them. It happens like randomly in the middle of the day, but you know, it could do one that's very nicely. Who knows? KYNC, I guess it could be one too if it just cracks this important level of what, 125 perhaps, but I'm not too sure. I did check. It looks like my short selling account is going to be out of the PDT rule September 20th, so I will actually be considering short selling some of these, especially because they just do such a bad job at spiking for morning panic bounce plays. It might not even be such a bad idea to be short a lot of them, especially NSAV. This one was like, wow, this one was beautiful for anybody who was short this one. So, you know, that's where I'm at the moment. It's going to be morning panic bounce plays. Ideally, we have some setups, but, you know, nothing is guaranteed. Alright, it is 9:39 a.m. and I did trade RGBP. I had a partial fail, and I actually, this wasn't my complete size. I wanted 50,000 shares, which would have been, well, I guess at the level it was going to be like a $1,200 position right around here, and I took a buy at 247. That was 936 right here, 247, and that was my entry. I sold the next minute because it just had a crazy gap up, basically. You know, just crazy price action. I sold at 26. That actually was the top at 261, and I didn't like it. You know, it just immediately spiked past the VWAP in one single move, which is, I mean, it's great in theory, but I'd like it if it could be slow and gradual, because it could allow some of these to make an even bigger move. So this thing could try to go back to the lows again and then make another move up. I've seen that before, but it's not trading too nicely. I was actually interested in a larger position than 1,200. I was actually trying to get in a $2,500 position, which would have been the largest I've ever been, at least right at once, maybe not in partial positions, but at once, or maybe the largest of all time. But the issue is that I was risking it off of this level right here, 933, around this time, 934. I was risking this 248 level, so I was thinking I could take a buy here, you know, and then let's see if it makes a move, and if it cracks this level 248, I will be out of the trade. But it cracked it, so I never placed an order for that reason, and I lowered my size because I thought maybe this one isn't going to be so nice if it keeps, you know, breaking lower. So that was still, even with my half size, a $44 gain, which is already making back a lot of what I lost Monday. Again, it would have been better if this thing were to have spiked slowly, but if it's going to do this, that's fine. And I've learned that sometimes these will do something like that, have a crazy spike, and then it will come back here and maybe try to spike again, maybe put up a higher low. But in this case, I'd probably just go in a much smaller size. So that's where I'm at right now. KYNC, it is trying to spike back, but that's not a morning panic bounce play. BZWR is downtrending, but the price action doesn't look nice for me to want to buy. NLST looks strange. It did turn around. I guess here's the low volume candles, but this is a bit sketchy. I would not have traded this at all. NSAV, it's up 20%, but it's not really doing anything that I want. So really the setup is just RGBP right now. I got nothing else that I'm interested in, but I'll keep looking for this. Maybe this thing could try again and turn around. Okay, it's 9:48. I was looking at FLGC because I had an alert go through saying this thing was near the highs, and it was. It did get close to this. I mean, it did get to 1380, but it looks like it's gonna fail. It could just be catching a break right here, holding VWAP, and then make another move to the upside. I could be in this like with just a tiny 20 share position, but I'm just honestly too scared of this. This thing is trading with a lot of, I mean, it's a $13 stock, but the range in terms of the price, it just moves a lot, and I don't really like that. In theory, this thing could work. The volume is fading. I'm not sure how that really works on a setup like this. It just cracked the level right here. I mean, it's right at support, which would be 13, I guess. I don't know, this thing is just trading too weird, honestly. I'll probably stop looking at it. RGBP is at its lows right here. It could try to turn around. The thing I don't like is that VWAP is very close at this moment. 247, you know, VWAP was what, 25.5. That wasn't horrible, but now it's a bit too close for comfort, even though it can just get way past VWAP like it did right here and turn around. We do have a seller there at 247. I wonder if it's real, but I could go a very small position here and just see if it's going to turn around, or cut losses if maybe 244 breaks, which would be wick territory. That wouldn't be so bad, but I would probably trade something extremely small. Yeah, not necessarily the best. There is a lot of people on the ask. 245. I'm also on the other screen looking at HPIL because it could be like a first step towards VWAP setup. I don't mind if I miss this one right here just because it isn't really trading perfectly. I mean, my clear risk level will be 244, but this thing can drop with a lot of range too. As you can tell, it kind of went to 241 here to 248. If it were to crack, so there might be some slippage. The bid is holding up, even with all the people selling on the ask. Well, selling on the bid. 242 is right there. Yeah, I just didn't like the price action, but this thing could still turn around. It's still, you know, it's not at the candle lows, but now it's at the wicks, right? I guess I'll just make an update, see if it works later. I also don't like stuff that trades with a range like this. Nothing here. NLST did turn around, but this one was sketchy. NSAV might try to break past this level and make another leg up. But apparently their website thing just looks horrible and fake, so who knows, maybe it wasn't even promoters. Maybe it was promoters dumping their shares, but literally everyone else, when they saw how bad the website was, I have no clue. So yeah, I'll just be looking at NSAV. This could try a run up. And HPIL could be a dip towards VWAP. Nice spike from 76 to 94. So if it drops towards VWAP, maybe at 86, and then it bounces back, that would be cool. So yeah, I'm gonna have HPIL on watch, as well as, what was the other guy? Yeah, NSAV. That's all I got for right now. I don't have to trade anything, but maybe those two can provide some kind of setup. Okay, it is 10:02 a.m. I think this setup worked, the dip towards VWAP, but I did not trade it because it was very sketchy. The way the VWAP was kind of like bouncing back and forth here, it's kind of strange, but in theory I could be in at 88. There is a lot of support at 88. There was a big wall of sellers at 90, 91, but it looks like we have just broke past it, so that would have been pretty cool. I wonder if this thing can try to go for the highs at 94, or if it's just gonna chill at 90 and make a run later. It could do a number of things. I guess it could fail too. But this was a dip towards VWAP. Again, a nice spike. I mean, if you want to count from here, 73 to 94, and it drops here. This wasn't perfect. This thing was trading strange. It's still strange. Like, it has a lot of range here, so you know, it's not really a perfect example, but it is so far at least working in theory. Again, I could be in at 88, but it does trade a bit weird. There is a lot of people who are selling on the ask, and of course this one will likely have bag holders from all this range right here, but it could be a lot worse, honestly. If this thing keeps uptrending, I won't mind it at all, because then it could be a potential morning panic bounce play in the future. It's a new minute. Let's see what this does right here. We do have some support, but there is still a lot of people selling on the ask. That's some nice big blocks of buying, but so 492 is the top. We're back at 89 just like that, although we have a lot of support there. But let's see if people are going to eat it up because it's there. Yeah, I don't mind missing this one. It was strange right here, the VWAP, the way it was bouncing back and forth. I would have liked it maybe if it touched it. It didn't really touch VWAP. It held right above it, so I'm not that upset. I will make an update to see what happens later. It could make a move, but we do have resistance at 94. But if it breaks that, that would be super nice. I would be very upset if I was in this trade right now and it gets to 88 being executed on the bid. I would probably cut the trade right then and there, because then that's like almost like a lower low. Yeah, it would have to work like right here. If it doesn't, if it goes back to 88 on the bid, I would immediately cut the trade for break even. And I would be hoping for this top right here, which we've had for 4 minutes, to break at 92, which it can totally do. If I had to guess, it could totally do it, but again, I'd cut the trade if it went back to 88. Let's just watch it. It looks like it might even try to do it now. I think somebody tried to buy whatever the size was. Here's some big buys. Somebody had a lot more shares to sell than what it showed on that level 2, but we still broke through. Let's see if somebody touches 93. Nope. Somebody's gonna touch it. Somebody with like 5,000 shares, something tiny. Nope. Huh. It didn't get to 93, although it was right there on the ask. That would stink. I would probably maybe even consider selling at 91 if I can get hit there. It could still break and get to 93, but something just threw somebody off. I'll make an update later to see what this does eventually. Alright, it is 10:24, and I had a fat finger mistake with NSAV. I don't think I've ever had this mistake before, but anyway, so just trying again with that 3 ticker rule thing, and we had 1 green candle, 2, 3. So then I got in right here at 10:20, right? 10:21 I got in actually. I guess I was a bit scared, so I took a bit longer, but again, I got in at 31, and the idea was that I'm gonna risk the bottom of the 3rd candle, which was 305, and okay, it immediately started the uptrend. 10:22, right? I saw that 318. I said, hey, this is a great trade. Wow, I traded a small position, but you know, that was a great try. It just seemed like there was a bit maybe too much topping action. It could have kept going, honestly. It could still keep going, but I just got kind of scared. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna really work out or not. You know, I'm kind of late to this whole uptrend thing in theory. You know, I could have been in right here, right, in this candle, and then it just goes up a little. Red candle, I sell, I guess, because there's some red candles. I'm not extremely sure. I'm still learning how to do this. And then right here, you know, this is another one where there's 1, 2, 3 candles. You get in here, you risk the bottom of this candle. So 286, 295, not the best risk reward because it's like a whole penny off, but it does get to 3. And then it drops here, which is like right at that level, but it held, and then it goes to 31. So my problem is that I thought I sold at 318, but I actually bought more shares, so that was horrible. And then I kept looking at my realized gain and loss. I was like, well, geez, am I like, you know, when is this thing gonna update and show how much I made? I mean, it wasn't like a large size, but then I realized I was still in the trade, so that sucked. And for that reason, I lost just a tiny bit, like, you know, $2.50. Boohoo. I guess right here was another one, so I lost more in this one because this is the one where I technically bought the top, and then this other one, it looks like I basically sold for just a little less than what I bought it for, because I was in at 31. Right, my first one, and I guess maybe I was in at 31.5 or something. I'm not extremely sure, but that really sucked, you know. I just that was a fat finger mistake. I probably need to stop being so scared of this stock, but that was an okay attempt if you ask me. I mean, it would have worked out had I have sold correctly. So BZWR is downtrending, but it could turn around. I've seen these things ugly, you know, like later in the day just turn around and do a morning panic bounce setup. I could go in and risk 1916 or something like that. I might be interested in that, but I don't know. That just had a wick right there. RGBP, it did drop lower than this range at 242, but I did not see this. This is nice. It did turn around, I guess, the lower low. Although this thing was very ugly, right? 235 to 26. That's actually really good range. It did get to VWAP. That's not bad. I didn't really see that part. That's cool. KYNC, beautiful. NLST is trying to put up higher lows. Maybe it can crack this level. Jeez, it feels like there's more setups all of a sudden. HPIL, it did fail. I would have sold at some point at 91, at like the last time when I said so, or at least 90, but I wouldn't have allowed myself to really sell for what I bought it for in theory. NSAV's back at 317. I'll just keep looking, but that was a sketchy. I should not have done that. That would have been profitable, but that's alright. Okay, it is 1:16 p.m. and I'm just going to probably make an update here and then another one once the market has closed. But I didn't see this here. NSAV did dip towards VWAP. There was some volume here. It held itself together. And following the 3 ticker rule, I guess 1, 2, 3, I would be in right here at what would this be, give or take? This would be 35.9, and then I risk the candle low, which is 355. It did get to what, 370, but I guess in theory I would have had to have cut losses here, although it did turn around and this thing did look like an inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, so maybe I could have been a part of this. I didn't see this drop here. I didn't see this inverse head and shoulders. I might have traded that had I have seen it. And in that case, did we get 3 green candles? Not really. 1, 2, there was 2, 1, maybe this 1, 2, 3, and then I go long here. But I probably might have even have considered going here, even if it wasn't, you know, 3 consistent green candles, just because of the fact that it is an inverse head and shoulders, and that did make a move to 39.8 from what, this 35.3, which isn't, that's not too bad in terms of range. So that could have been a setup here, definitely. A dip towards VWAP. So dip towards VWAP, inverse head and shoulders. I wasn't here for that. I did trade RGBP a while back. I tried it and I just cut losses quickly because it didn't work out. I went in at back here, so I was thinking maybe this is going to be a choppy low volume inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder. My entry was 48, and that was right here, this little red candle. And it wasn't 247, it was like 2473, like in the middle between 247 and 248. immediately after I bought, the volume was a lot of red volume, a lot of selling on the bid. The volume and the price action was horrible, and I just held until it cracked the low, which was 246. That was my exit idea. It cracked it right here, and that's when I sold. Right, yep, 1053. When it cracked to this range low, I go ahead and cut the trade, and I lost a tiny $4. That wasn't even a 1% loss. And at first I was just going for 10,000 shares, right, let me do it right here, you know, which would have been a $240 trade. And I thought, okay, so I'm gonna be a part of it, and you know, at 24, let's just say 248, right, and if it cracks this level right here at 246 and I sell at 245, I lose $3. So I thought, alright, well, if I'm gonna lose $3 if I cut losses quickly, why don't I just double my size and risk $6? It's not that much of a difference to me. And it didn't work out here. It could have worked out, but you know, I probably shouldn't have traded this thing because it doesn't trade with much volume, but I think it was a good attempt. NSAV would have worked much nicer because it has more volume, better price action, and yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. We did get 3 green candles back there. That wasn't when I traded it. My trade was back here. This was another chance for 3 green candles. This one would have been kind of sketchy. I don't think I would have traded that because it was all wicky. But here I might have 1, 2, 3. Then you risk this level, and it goes from 33 to 35. And then this one's really clean. The 3 green candles, 1, 2, 3. Then you're in at 364. You risk the bottom of that candle. 361, you're in at 365, 364, probably 366, and this one did get to 41. So I think that's how I'm going to consider trading some of these inverse head and shoulders, the 3 green candles, whatever you want to call it. The cleaner the candles look, the better, and I'm going to be risking the bottom of the 3rd candle. And as long as the next candle isn't immediately just falling off a cliff, this one would have been fine, especially here when it held itself. And this candle at 25, you know, that could have been a setup, not necessarily here because, you know, it would have been 3 green candles right here, and then I'm in here, and then you risk again the bottom. That could have been a setup, so I'll keep pushing towards that. I did miss this inverse head and inverse head and shoulders. I did miss that. That's my fault. It's just, you know, good to see this thing maybe working for these type of sketchy stocks. Maybe DPLS, it can work on something like this too. Well, not really this one because it's no longer trading the way it used to, but that's what I'm going to work towards. I think that this is a potential strategy. Alright, it is 9:45 p.m. and I am here to call it off. I had today maybe like a $35 day. Really nice trade here, 1 fat finger mistake, and 1 setup maybe I shouldn't have traded. It wasn't really perfect because it wasn't trading with good volume, but it is a setup that works more often than not. I just want to go over really what happened now being the end of the day, and it's been a while since, you know, the markets have closed, so I don't remember everything perfectly, but it looks like NLST did actually break the day high, but that was, you know, right at the very end of the market close. It went from what, 680 to 699, not the best range. It did have like this drop here, but I forgot what it was about it. Maybe I was just looking at something else. There was clearly a drop here, but something of this probably just threw me off and didn't interest me. RGBP was that inverse head and shoulders that did not work. I cut losses quickly, and that was at 53 when I sold right here, and it's a good thing that I sold. It never really came back to really do it. You know, this would have not have been inverse head and shoulders because it got as low as the head here. I shouldn't have really traded that. That's a good lesson. I hope eventually I can try to not trade these. KYNC did nothing. KXIN is just chilling. I'll probably remove this. It's still in my other watch list. I would only be interested in this if it does some kind of a price action that would maybe be favorable for a multi-day breakout. That would be nice. And the last two we went over. NSAV, plenty of chances here to try that 3-ticker rule. You know, it's not always perfect. It did it here, 3 tickers. And then what? It went from 271, it dropped here. But I think it did like a nice price action. I'm not extremely sure anymore. Here would have been nice for the 3 tickers. This as well. I forgot what was the price action. I think it was this inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder. I'm not extremely sure what was the level. I know this was one of them, shoulder, head, shoulder. Shoulder, head, shoulder. That would have been very nice. I want to really try the 3-ticker rule with some of these type of stocks more. And I did have that, you know, fat finger mistake trade. That would have been profitable. I bought at 31. Ideally, I would have sold at 318, but I accidentally bought here, and then I sold at back at 31 when I saw it wasn't working. That's totally fine. And that was all back in 1023. So it was back here. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna call it off. Just a good trade overall, and pretty lucky with RGBP, honestly, because I top ticked it. I would have liked a gradual spike like it did here. Kind of hard to have just gotten the bottom at this point, seeing that it's failed consistently. But hey, it did turn around. That's pretty good. That's why I considered it for inverse head and shoulders. That's all I got. I think I'm happy in that I'm making back a lot of losses I did Monday, which again wasn't horrible. My trading there, I tried really hard and I did cut losses quickly. Let's hope now I can continue to be at this point more profitable, trying new setups. And I did at least try going a larger position here with RGBP. I need to keep pushing myself to do that in the setups I have a lot of great experience with. At least that's the plan. I have a lot of room for improvement too.